And that brings you to this very moment, where something unseen has already begun to shift. You can feel it, even if you cannot fully explain it, like a quiet stirring beneath the surface of your life. This is not random, and it is not something to scroll past. This is a divine intersection where what has been delayed now stands face to face with a decision that cannot be postponed any longer. For so long you have stood in the tension between waiting and wondering, between praying and questioning if anything was truly changing. But listen closely, because something has shifted behind the scenes, and it is now pressing into your present moment. The confusion that once surrounded you is beginning to give way to clarity, and the heaviness that weighed on your spirit is starting to lift. This is the point where delay meets decision, where fear meets faith, and where the path you choose next will begin to shape the season ahead of you. Do you sense it yet? That subtle urgency that will not let you remain the same? It is not here to rush you, but to awaken you to what is already unfolding. So hear this question clearly, because it carries more weight than you realize. What if this very moment is the turning point that determines your next season? What if the answers you have been seeking are not somewhere far ahead, but are beginning right here as you choose how to respond now? Do not look away from this moment, because the clarity you have been asking for is about to meet you in a way you did not expect. And as you stay here and lean in, something even deeper is about to be revealed to you, and it will show you exactly what has been working for you all along and why this moment matters more than you ever imagined, and how the next step will become unmistakably clear if you are willing to listen now and trust what is being placed before you today now. Now listen closely, because the urgency you just felt is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to lead you into stillness. Before anything else, pause right here. Take a slow breath in, and then release it gently. Let your shoulders drop, let your thoughts settle, because this moment is not about rushing forward, it is about recognizing where you already are. You did not arrive here by accident. Out of all the noise, all the distractions, all the paths your attention could have taken, you are here, reading this, hearing this, feeling this. That is not random. That is not coincidence. There is a quiet orchestration that has been guiding your steps, even when you thought you were moving alone. You may not have noticed it at first. It may have felt like ordinary scrolling, like just another moment in your day. But something inside you paused. Something within you recognized that this was different. That subtle pull you felt, that nudge you could not explain, that was not by chance. That was alignment. So let yourself settle into this truth. This message is for you. Not for the person next to you, not for someone else at another time. For you, in this exact moment, in this exact season of your life. Every word is meeting you where you are, not where you pretend to be, not where others expect you to be, but where you truly are inside. And in this stillness, notice the contrast. Just moments ago, there was urgency, a sense that something needed your attention. But now, there is calm. Now, there is space to breathe, to receive, to understand. This is how clarity begins, not in chaos, but in quiet. So do not rush past this. Stay here a little longer. Let your heart become steady. Let your thoughts soften. Because when you allow yourself to be still, you begin to hear what was always trying to reach you. And here is the question that gently lingers beneath all of this. How did you get here, really? What unseen hands, what quiet guidance, what invisible timing brought you to this exact moment, to hear this exact message, right now? Because as you begin to consider that, you will also begin to understand something deeper about your journey, and why everything you have been through is about to make sense in a way you did not expect. And as you begin to understand that you were guided here, something deeper starts to surface, something you have carried quietly for far too long. You have been strong on the outside, holding yourself together in ways most people will never fully see. You smile when needed, you respond when expected, you keep showing up even when a part of you feels completely drained. But beneath that surface, there has been a different story unfolding. A story of silent battles, of questions you have asked in the quiet, of moments where you wondered how much longer you could keep going without answers. You have felt the weight of delay, doors that did not open when you thought they would, opportunities that seemed close but slipped away, and prayers that felt like they were echoing back without response. There have been nights when your thoughts would not rest, when your heart felt heavy without a clear reason you could explain to anyone else. And even when you tried to put it into words, it never fully captured the depth of what you were feeling. So you carried it quietly. You told yourself to stay strong, to keep believing, to not let the cracks show. And then there are the pressures that no one else measures. The financial strain that sits in the back of your mind, the uncertainty about what comes next, the responsibility you carry for others while trying not to fall apart yourself. The relationships that have stretched you, confused you, or even hurt you, leaving you to wonder where you truly stand and who you can trust. What makes it heavier is the contrast between what people see and what you actually feel. To them, you may look composed, capable, even unshaken. But inside, there have been moments of exhaustion so deep that you questioned your own strength. Moments where you felt overlooked, misunderstood, or simply tired of holding everything together. And yet, despite all of that, you did not give up. Even in your lowest moments, something within you kept going. Even when your faith felt fragile, you did not completely let it go. That matters more than you realize. That quiet endurance, that hidden resilience, it has been seen, even when no one around you acknowledged it. You were never meant to carry all of this alone, even though it has felt that way. And the fact that you are here now, still seeking, still open, still willing to listen, says something powerful about who you are and what is still alive within you. So do not dismiss your pain, and do not minimize what you have walked through. Every tear you held back, every moment you pushed through, every time you chose to keep going when it would have been easier to shut down, it all counts. It all holds meaning, even if you cannot see it yet. And as you sit with that truth, allow yourself to consider this question, not as pressure, but as possibility. What if none of your pain was wasted? And as you sit with that question, something begins to separate in your awareness, almost like a veil lifting between what has been and what is now beginning to unfold. Because when you look back, you can clearly see the patterns that kept repeating, the sense of pushing forward only to meet resistance, the doors that remained closed no matter how many times you knocked. There was confusion that lingered longer than it should have, moments where clarity felt just out of reach, like you were close to understanding but never quite arriving. You tried to move, to act, to decide, but something always seemed to slow you down or redirect you in ways you did not expect. It felt like delay, like blockage, like something unseen was standing in your way. And over time, that resistance started to feel personal. You questioned your timing, your decisions, even your worth. You wondered if you had missed something, if you had taken a wrong turn that you could not correct. The silence between your efforts and the results you hoped for began to feel like absence, like nothing was happening at all. But what you could not see then is what you are beginning to sense now. The same places that once felt stuck are starting to feel lighter. The same questions that once overwhelmed you are beginning to settle. It is subtle at first, almost easy to overlook, but something is different. Something is moving. Where there was once confusion, there is now a quiet sense of direction forming. Where there was resistance, there is now a gentle opening, not forced, not rushed, but real. The doors that would not open before are no longer being chased, and yet new paths are beginning to reveal themselves without the same struggle. This is the contrast you are stepping into. What felt like stagnation was not the end of your progress, it was the preparation for alignment. What felt like delay was not denial, it was timing being arranged in ways you could not yet understand. You were not being held back without reason, you were being positioned. Think about it for a moment. If everything had opened when you first wanted it to, would you have been ready for what came with it? Would you have had the clarity, the strength, the discernment you are developing now? Or would you have stepped into something too early, carrying the same confusion that would have followed you forward? What you experienced was not a closed future, it was a protected one. The resistance you felt was not rejection, it was redirection. And now, as things begin to shift, you are not the same person who first stood at those doors. You have changed, even if you did not realize it while it was happening. Now alignment is beginning to replace effort. You are no longer forcing what is not meant, you are starting to recognize what flows without constant struggle. There is a difference between pushing and being guided, and you are beginning to feel that difference in real time. This does not mean everything changes all at once. It means the direction has changed. It means the current is no longer against you, even if the full picture has not yet appeared. And that is where trust begins to grow, not in what you can already see, but in what you can now sense. So stay aware of this shift. Pay attention to what feels different, even in small ways. Because something has already moved behind the scenes, something that is now beginning to touch your visible reality. And this is where the deeper question begins to rise, the one that will shape what comes next. What exactly has shifted behind the scenes, and how is it about to show up in your life in ways you cannot yet predict? And as you begin to ask what has shifted, you are also being invited to see something you may have misunderstood for a long time. What you thought was simply resistance, what you labeled as setbacks or even personal failure, was not only delay. There was something deeper happening, something unseen, something that required protection around you in ways you could not fully recognize at the time. You have been in the middle of a quiet spiritual battle, not one meant to destroy you, but one that revealed just how significant your path truly is. The pressure you felt was not random. The confusion that tried to cloud your thinking was not without purpose. There were forces that attempted to distract you, discourage you, and wear you down, not because you were weak, but because there is something within you that carries weight, something that matters. But here is what you must understand now. You were never unprotected in those moments. Even when you felt alone, even when it seemed like nothing was shielding you, there was a covering over your life that you could not see. There were things that did not reach you, outcomes that did not happen, paths you did not go down, not by accident, but by design. Think about the times when something almost went wrong but did not. The moments when you were delayed and frustrated, only to later realize that delay kept you from something you were not meant to experience. That was not coincidence. That was protection. And yet, because you could not see the full picture, fear tried to fill the gaps. Fear whispered that you were stuck, that nothing was working, that you were falling behind. But fear does not speak truth, it speaks what appears real in the moment without revealing what is hidden beneath it. Truth, on the other hand, has been quietly present the entire time. Truth says you were being guided, even when you felt lost. Truth says you were being shielded, even when you felt exposed. Truth says that what you went through did not weaken you, it refined you. This is where your discernment begins to sharpen. You are no longer called to react to every feeling of fear as if it defines your reality. You are learning to pause, to question, to recognize the difference between what seems true and what actually is. Not every closed door is rejection. Not every delay is loss. Not every struggle is meant to stop you. In fact, some of what felt like attack was actually part of your preparation. It revealed what needed to be strengthened within you. It exposed patterns that could not follow you into your next season. It built a resilience that cannot be easily shaken now. You are not being targeted because you are vulnerable. You are being tested because you are valuable. And there is a difference that changes everything once you begin to see it clearly. Now, as you stand in this moment of shifting, you are not standing unguarded. The same protection that carried you through what you did not understand is still with you now. But this time, you are becoming aware of it. You are beginning to trust it, to recognize it, to move with it instead of questioning every step. And this is where the tension begins to transform into something powerful. Because what once felt like something working against you is now being revealed as something that could not overcome you. What tried to delay you did not stop you. What tried to confuse you did not define you. So consider this carefully, because it holds the key to what comes next. If you were protected then, even when you did not see it, what does that mean for where you are now? If what was meant to harm you did not succeed, what is it about to become instead? Because what was sent to break you is about to be used to build you. What was meant to weaken you is about to become part of your strength. And as this begins to unfold, you will start to see that nothing you went through was without purpose, and nothing that was meant against you will remain in that form. And as this realization settles in, you are being led to a choice, a moment where understanding must turn into action, and where what you believe now will begin to shape what happens next. And this is where everything begins to narrow into a single, defining moment. Not outside of you, not somewhere far ahead, but within you, right here. Because after everything you have seen, everything you have felt, and everything that is now being revealed, you are standing at a crossroads that cannot be ignored. You can feel it in the quiet. You can sense it in the way your thoughts are shifting, in the way your perspective is beginning to change. Something is asking you to decide, not out of pressure, but out of readiness. You are not the same person who first entered this season, and because of that, the choice before you is no longer hidden. On one side, there is fear. It is familiar, predictable, and in many ways, comfortable because you know how it speaks. Fear tells you to wait a little longer, to hesitate, to question whether this is truly the right moment. It reminds you of past disappointments, of things that did not work out, of times when you hoped for more and received less. Fear does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers gently, convincing you that staying where you are is safer than moving forward. But on the other side, there is alignment. And alignment feels different. It does not always come with loud certainty or dramatic signs. Sometimes it feels like a quiet knowing, a steady pull that does not force you, but invites you. It asks you to trust what you cannot fully see yet. It asks you to move, not because everything is guaranteed, but because something within you recognizes that this is the direction you are meant to take. This is where your role becomes clear. You are not being pushed, and you are not being dragged. You are being invited to choose. And that choice matters more than you may realize, because it is not just about one decision, it is about the posture you take moving forward. If you remain in fear, you stay in the cycle you have already known. The same questions, the same hesitation, the same sense of waiting for something outside of you to change first. But if you step into alignment, something shifts immediately. Not necessarily everything around you at once, but something within you becomes steady. You begin to move differently, think differently, respond differently. Alignment is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting enough to take the next step even without them. It is about releasing the need to control every outcome and instead choosing to believe that what is guiding you is trustworthy. It is about letting go of the version of you that stayed stuck and stepping into the version of you that is ready to move. And yes, there may still be uncertainty. There may still be moments where you question what you are doing. But the difference now is that you are no longer led by fear in those moments. You acknowledge it, but you do not follow it. So pause here and be honest with yourself. What have you been holding on to that is rooted in fear? What decisions have you delayed, not because you lacked clarity, but because you hesitated to trust it? And what would it feel like to release that hesitation, even just slightly, and lean into what you are beginning to sense is right? You do not need to take a giant leap all at once. Sometimes alignment begins with a small, quiet step. A shift in perspective. A decision to no longer agree with the voice that keeps you stuck. A willingness to move forward, even if it feels unfamiliar. Because this is the moment where everything begins to change, not because circumstances suddenly become perfect, but because you choose differently within them. And this is the question that now stands before you, clearer than ever, waiting for your honest answer. What happens if you finally choose alignment today? And as that question settles in your spirit, something within you is ready for more than just understanding. You are ready for movement, for something tangible, something you can actually begin to practice in your daily life. Because alignment is not only a feeling, it is a way of living, a series of small, intentional choices that begin to reshape everything from the inside out. So let this become practical now. Not overwhelming, not complicated, but clear enough for you to take hold of. Because the shift you are stepping into does not require perfection, it requires awareness and willingness. The first shift begins with this: pause before you react. You have lived in a pattern where immediate response felt necessary. When something triggered you, you moved quickly, either to fix it, avoid it, or control it. But now, you are being invited into something different. Before you respond, before you decide, before you speak, you pause. Even if it is just for a few seconds. That pause creates space, and in that space, you begin to hear more clearly. You move from reacting out of emotion to responding with intention. The second step flows naturally from the first: seek stillness daily. Not as an obligation, but as a return point. The world around you is loud, full of opinions, expectations, and distractions. And when you stay constantly engaged with that noise, it becomes difficult to recognize what is actually meant for you. Stillness is where clarity grows. It is where your thoughts settle, where your discernment sharpens, where you begin to notice what feels aligned and what does not. Even a few quiet moments each day begin to shift your awareness in ways you will not immediately measure, but you will feel over time. The third shift requires courage. Set boundaries where you once overextended. There have been moments where you gave too much of your time, your energy, your attention, not because it was right, but because it was expected. You said yes when something in you felt uncertain. You stayed in conversations, situations, or patterns longer than you needed to. But alignment does not ask you to please everyone. It asks you to protect what has been entrusted to you. Boundaries are not rejection, they are clarity. They define what you will carry and what you will no longer hold on to. The fourth step is one you are already beginning to develop: trust your discernment. Not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every voice deserves your agreement. There is a difference between something that looks right and something that feels right at a deeper level. You have ignored that inner knowing before, second-guessing yourself, asking others to confirm what you already sensed. But now, you are being called to trust that quiet clarity. It may not always be loud, but it is steady, and it will guide you if you allow it. And finally, take aligned action, even when it feels small. You do not need to have everything figured out before you move. In fact, waiting for perfect clarity often keeps you in the same place. Alignment grows as you act on what you already know. A small step taken with intention carries more power than a perfect plan never acted upon. When something feels right, when it resonates with that deeper sense within you, move toward it. Not with pressure, but with trust. Notice the contrast in all of this. Where you once reacted quickly, you now pause. Where you once filled every moment with noise, you now create space for stillness. Where you once overextended, you now establish boundaries. Where you once doubted your inner knowing, you now begin to trust it. Where you once waited for certainty, you now move with quiet confidence. These are not dramatic changes all at once. They are small, consistent shifts that begin to rewire how you experience your life. And over time, those small shifts create something much bigger than you expect. They open doors you did not force. They bring clarity you did not chase. They position you in ways you could not have planned. So do not underestimate what begins here. What feels simple is actually powerful. What feels small is actually foundational. Every time you choose intention over reaction, stillness over noise, clarity over confusion, you are aligning yourself with something greater than what you have known before. And as you begin to practice these steps, something starts to unlock, something that was always available but required your participation to fully emerge. Because the truth is, these small shifts are not just improving your day, they are preparing you for something that requires this level of awareness and trust. And as you continue, you will begin to feel a deeper connection forming, not just in your actions, but in your spirit, and that connection will lead you into a moment where words are no longer just spoken, but declared with intention and belief. And as you begin to move with intention, something within you is ready to go deeper, beyond thought, beyond understanding, into a place where your words begin to align with what your spirit is receiving. This is where you shift from simply hearing to actively participating, from observing to declaring. So take a breath again, gently, and allow yourself to become fully present. This moment is not about performance. It is not about saying the right words perfectly. It is about connection. It is about agreement. It is about allowing what has been spoken over you to take root within you. And now, as you listen, I want you to speak these words, whether out loud or quietly within yourself. Let them settle, let them resonate, let them become real to you. I release fear, and I choose trust. Say it again, slowly. I release fear, and I choose trust. Let that settle. Feel the shift, even if it is small. You are not holding on to what once controlled your thoughts. You are choosing something different. Now continue. I am not alone. I am guided and protected. Say it again. I am not alone. I am guided and protected. Even in moments when it did not feel that way, this truth has remained. Let it replace every doubt that tried to convince you otherwise. Now speak this. What is meant for me will not pass me by. Again. What is meant for me will not pass me by. Release the pressure of chasing, of forcing, of trying to control every outcome. What belongs in your life will find its way to you as you remain aligned. Now continue. I trust the timing that is unfolding for me. Say it again. I trust the timing that is unfolding for me. Even when it felt delayed, even when it did not make sense, something was being arranged. You are beginning to see that now. Now speak this with intention. I am stepping into clarity, one step at a time. Again. I am stepping into clarity, one step at a time. You do not need to see everything ahead. You only need to trust the step in front of you. Now let this declaration come from a deeper place. I am ready to receive what is aligned for my life. Say it again. I am ready to receive what is aligned for my life. Not what is forced, not what is borrowed from someone else's path, but what is truly aligned with who you are becoming. Now take a moment and breathe. Let everything you have just spoken settle into you. These are not empty words. They are seeds. And what you repeat, what you agree with, what you allow yourself to believe, begins to grow within you. So stay here for a moment longer. If something in you needs to release, let it release. If something in you feels lighter, notice it. If something in you feels uncertain, that is okay too. This is a process, not a single moment. And now, one more time, bring it all together. I release fear. I choose trust. I am guided. I am protected. I am aligned. Say it slowly. I release fear. I choose trust. I am guided. I am protected. I am aligned. Let that become your anchor. Because something begins to change when you speak differently. Something shifts when your words no longer agree with fear but align with truth. Even if the external world has not fully caught up yet, something internal has already begun to move. And this is where a quiet question remains, one that will continue to unfold within you. What begins to change when you not only hear these words, but truly speak them, believe them, and carry them with you beyond this moment? And as you carry those words with you, something begins to sharpen within your awareness. Not in a dramatic or overwhelming way, but quietly, steadily, like your senses are being fine-tuned to notice what was always there but often overlooked. Because when alignment begins internally, confirmation does not always arrive as something loud. More often, it comes gently. You may start to notice a sense of peace where there once was pressure. Situations that used to trigger anxiety may no longer hold the same weight. Conversations that once confused you may begin to feel clearer, not because everything is explained, but because something within you is no longer unsettled by uncertainty. This is one of the first signs, not everything changing around you, but something becoming steady within you. You may also begin to see small alignments appear in your path. Not forced, not chased, but unfolding naturally. The right conversation at the right time, an idea that comes with clarity instead of confusion, a door that opens without you having to push it. These moments may seem simple at first, easy to dismiss, but they carry a different energy. They feel right, not rushed, not strained, just right. This is where you must begin to notice the contrast. In the past, you may have looked for signs out of urgency, trying to force confirmation because you felt uncertain. You searched for something obvious, something undeniable, something that would remove all doubt instantly. But that kind of searching often led to more confusion, because it was rooted in pressure, not in trust. Now, you are being invited into a different way of seeing. Confirmation does not come to eliminate every question. It comes to support what is already forming within you. It meets you where your discernment is growing, not where fear is demanding proof. It does not rush you forward, it reassures you as you move. You might notice that what once felt complicated is becoming simpler. Decisions that once felt heavy may now feel lighter, even if they are still significant. There may be a quiet clarity that settles in, not explaining every detail, but guiding your next step without overwhelming you with the entire path. And sometimes, confirmation comes through what does not happen. The opportunity that does not align, the path that closes without effort, the situation that no longer feels right even if it once did. These are not losses, they are direction. They are part of the same guidance, gently steering you toward what fits and away from what does not. So do not rush to label every moment. Do not pressure yourself to interpret everything immediately. Instead, stay aware. Stay present. Let the patterns reveal themselves over time. Because true confirmation is consistent. It does not confuse you more with each step, it gradually brings you into a deeper sense of knowing. And as this awareness grows, you will begin to trust it more. You will recognize the difference between something that demands your attention and something that quietly aligns with you. That difference is where your clarity lives. So remain open, remain attentive, but also remain grounded. You are not being asked to chase signs, you are being invited to notice them. And as you continue forward, a quiet curiosity begins to rise within you, not driven by anxiety, but by awareness. When your answer begins to appear, not in force but in alignment, how will you recognize it? And as you begin to recognize how your answer will appear, something within you becomes ready to see beyond this present moment. Not with pressure, not with unrealistic expectations, but with a grounded sense of possibility. Because once alignment begins, it does not stay hidden. It starts to express itself in your life, step by step, in ways that are both subtle and undeniable. So allow yourself, just for a moment, to imagine your life from a place of alignment. Not a distant future that feels unreachable, but a near reality that is already forming. Picture yourself moving through your day with a sense of calm where there once was pressure. The constant weight you carried in your chest has eased. Your thoughts are no longer racing in every direction. There is space within you now. You wake up, and instead of immediately feeling overwhelmed by everything you need to figure out, there is a quiet steadiness. You still have responsibilities, you still have decisions to make, but they no longer feel like they are closing in on you. Instead, you approach them with clarity, one step at a time. Notice how your interactions begin to change. Conversations feel lighter. You are no longer trying to explain yourself to people who do not understand you. You are no longer forcing connections that do not feel right. Instead, there is a natural alignment in who you engage with and how you show up. The right words come more easily. The right connections begin to form without effort. And then there are the doors. Not all at once, not in a way that overwhelms you, but gradually, consistently. Opportunities begin to appear that match where you are now, not where you used to be. You are not chasing them in desperation. You are recognizing them with clarity. And when you step toward them, there is a sense of peace that confirms you are moving in the right direction. The financial pressure that once sat heavily on your mind begins to shift, not through sudden miracles that feel disconnected from reality, but through aligned opportunities, better decisions, and a clearer sense of direction. You begin to feel less trapped and more capable. Less uncertain and more grounded. Even in your private moments, something is different. The quiet that once felt heavy now feels restful. You are not constantly replaying worries or questioning every decision. There is a growing trust within you, a sense that you are no longer moving blindly, but being guided step by step. And as this unfolds, restoration begins to take shape. Not all at once, not perfectly, but genuinely. The parts of you that felt worn down begin to feel renewed. The areas of your life that felt stagnant begin to show signs of movement. What once felt broken begins to find its way back into place, piece by piece. This is not a life without challenges. It is a life where challenges no longer define you. It is a life where peace is not dependent on everything being perfect, but on you being aligned. So stay with this vision for a moment. Let it feel real, not as something distant, but as something that is already beginning. Because what you are imagining is not separate from you. It is connected to the choices you are making now, the awareness you are developing, the alignment you are stepping into. And as you hold on to this, let a simple question settle into your thoughts, not as pressure, but as curiosity, as anticipation. If you continue to move in this direction, if you follow through with what you are beginning to understand, what will your life look like 1 month from now? And as you begin to picture what your life can look like, something important happens when you move from simply receiving this message to expressing it. Because what you keep inside may comfort you for a moment, but what you declare begins to take root in a different way. It becomes real, not just in your thoughts, but in your actions, in your voice, in your presence. So do not let this remain silent within you. If something in this message has spoken to you, if something resonated deeply, take a small step right now. Type Amen if you agree. Type I receive this if you are ready to step into alignment. These are not just words. They are moments of agreement, moments where you choose to align your voice with what your spirit is beginning to understand. And as simple as it may seem, there is power in that. There is something that shifts when you make it visible, when you move from quiet reflection into open declaration. You are no longer just observing your life, you are participating in it. You are saying, this is where I stand, this is what I choose, this is what I believe. You may even notice something else. As you look around, you will see others doing the same. Other people, in their own journeys, in their own moments of uncertainty and hope, choosing to declare, choosing to believe, choosing to step forward. And in that, you realize you are not alone. There is a community forming, not bound by location, but by shared faith, shared intention, shared movement towards something better. So if this message has found you at the right time, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who may need it, someone who may be in the same place you were not long ago. Sometimes the very thing that reaches you is meant to flow through you to someone else. You never know who is waiting for a word like this, who is quietly searching for the same clarity you are beginning to feel. And if you feel led to stay connected, to continue receiving messages like this, allow yourself to do that. Not out of obligation, not out of pressure, but because something here is helping you stay aligned, helping you stay aware, helping you keep moving forward. But more than anything, stay present in this moment. Do not rush past it. Let your declaration mean something. Let it settle within you. Let it become part of how you move from here. Because something shifts when you speak. Something deepens when you agree. And something begins to take form when you make that choice visible, even in a small way. And as you do, a quiet question begins to linger, one that you may not have considered before. What begins to change when you no longer keep your faith silent, but choose to declare it openly, even in the simplest ways? And as that question lingers in your heart, something begins to settle within you, not as confusion, but as quiet understanding. You started this journey feeling the weight of uncertainty, carrying questions that did not have clear answers, moving through moments that felt delayed, heavy, and unclear. But now, something has shifted. Not everything around you, not every circumstance all at once, but something within you has become steadier. You can feel it in the way you are thinking, in the way you are seeing your situation, in the way you are beginning to respond instead of react. Where there was once confusion, there is now a growing sense of clarity. Where there was pressure, there is now space to breathe. Where there was fear, there is now a quiet willingness to trust. You did not arrive here by accident. Every moment of this message has met you exactly where you are, guiding you step by step from what felt uncertain into something that now feels grounded and real. And even if you cannot yet see the full path ahead, you are no longer standing in the same place internally. So let this moment become a blessing over you. May your mind be filled with peace that does not depend on perfect circumstances. May your heart be steady even when the path ahead is still unfolding. May your steps be guided in ways that feel clear, even if they are simple. And may everything that is not aligned with your life gently fall away without struggle or confusion. May you carry this awareness with you beyond this moment, not as something temporary, but as something that continues to grow. May you trust what is forming within you. May you recognize the guidance that has always been present. And may you move forward with a confidence that does not need to prove itself to anyone else. Because something has already begun. Something has already shifted. And even if the external results take time to fully appear, the direction has changed, and that matters more than you realize. So do not go back to the old patterns of doubt. Do not return to the voice that tells you nothing is happening. You know now that something is. You can feel it. You can sense it. And that awareness will continue to guide you as long as you remain open to it. And as you move forward from here, stay attentive, stay present, because this is not the end of what is being revealed to you. There is more clarity ahead, more understanding waiting for you, more direction that will unfold at the right time. Because the next message is already forming, and when it reaches you, it will not just remind you of what you have heard today, it will show you the next step you are meant to take.